This podcast is sponsored by Buy Game Credit, where buying Xbox Live points or membership has never been easier. No more going to the shops on a rainy day for those new map packs. Buy Game Credit makes it easy in 3 simple steps. Number 1, you select your product, then you text them or enter your number online, and finally they send you your code via SMS. If you need game credit, then bookmark the link in the description for some great offers, and it also helps support the show, so thank you very much. Now, let's get on with podcasting. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Alt F4. A little quick note before we begin. I wasn't able to get Eric and Steve together this week. So what I've done is I've interviewed them separately, done like 2 little mini podcasts, and I'm going to put them one after the other. We'll start off with Eric because we cover Battlefield stuff, and then we'll move on to our interview with Steve. So check out the timestamps below, and if there's anything you want to listen to in particular. And if not, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And we'll start with Eric. So now we're joined by Eric. How are you doing today, Eric? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Good. Have you been up to much since we last had you on the podcast?
Yeah, I've been keeping tabs on some recent gaming news and also writing some reviews.
Okay, good stuff. Is that for your blog, Absol _?
Yeah, and also for a website that I'm currently working for.
Ah, interesting stuff. So hopefully we'll dive deep into the Battlefield, well, all gaming news today, but let's start with Battlefield, if that's okay. You had some news regarding the CTE, the Community Test Environment?
Yeah, so they've introduced their 3rd netcode patch recently, where they reduced the slack time for a client that has packet loss, how long they will be able to damage you for. Mm-hmm. So they reduced it from 1.5 seconds to 1 second to possibly alleviate the thing where you get killed around corners and stuff.
Yep, so this is after somebody's died, they've got a window of about, well, they had a window of about 1.5 seconds where they could still kill you afterwards, is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
And now it's been reduced to 0.332 around 1 second, is that right?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay, so basically, yeah, like you were saying, it's a perfect example. If you go around the corner and somebody shoots you, it's because they've had there's sort of a lag on the server of the game of about a second or so, and hopefully that should get reduced now. You should see a lot less of those occasions where you're dying behind corners, or you trade with somebody and they're on 0% when they killed you, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. They've also taken some of the fixes from the live Battlefield 4 version and put it into the community test environment, so we don't have to deal with the death shield bug and also the Operation Metro roof exploits.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've trying to fix right now is the high altitude jet damage bug.
Yeah, so this is a bug where when you go above a certain altitude in the jets, you have to be within a certain proximity for your bullets to do damage to the enemy jet.
Exactly. So they're trying to fix for this invincibility thing that's happening on certain altitudes.
Are we seeing them implement it at the moment? Like if somebody was to go and test it now, would they be able to notice a difference, or is this just things that they're announcing that they're planning to introduce soon?
It should be in the recently implemented netcode patch number 3. So that's what they are testing, that this frame history time, that it's working as intended, and that it doesn't increase the amounts of deaths behind the cover.
Yeah.
And also furthering the opportunities for members to accurately test the netcode, since they removed the death shield bug and so on, so they can now see exactly what the grenades are doing in terms of netcode when they are throwing it and dying, and then see if it explodes or not.
Yeah. Now, speaking of testing things out, you pointed me to a tweet earlier that Dennis help me with this Swedish pronunciation here.
Dennis Brännvall.
There we go. Or Dice Firewall. That's a lot easier for me. Do you want to go over what this tweet was announcing?
Yeah, they were talking about having a focus test regarding level design of smaller maps and game modes like Team Deathmatch and Domination.
Mm-hmm.
But due to some kind of technical issue, they had to postpone it until after summer. So I'm thinking of suggesting that they should maybe try to put those kinds of tests into the community test environment so it's available to more people and not just Swedish local Stockholm people.
Yeah, like yourself.
Yeah.
And what would this bring that's different to the community test environment or what we have now? What would that allow us to do?
So currently we're testing many of these smaller modes like Domination and TDM on 20 players, and there's obviously some kind of playlist with the maps that they want to test in it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you look at the live version of Battlefield 4, there might be some maps that people are not happy with in terms of the gameplay for smaller modes. So do you have any map that you think could be a lot better in Domination, for example?
It's mainly the sort of close quarter ones. Locker and Metro spring to mind.
Okay, what would you like changed in the game flow of those maps?
It's mainly to do with the older generations. The older generations are limited in some of the routes they're allowed to take. So, for example, on the 360 in Operation Metro, they've, for certain game modes, they blocked off the whole side extra bit, what you could get up to. The basically the new route that was added into Metro, they blocked that off, and I don't know. I think I'd just like to see be able to experiment with that sort of stuff and just see like if it does improve things or not. I can't think of an example, like a specific example right now, but when I did see that bit cut off, for example, on the older generation, I was a bit disappointed. But I could understand maybe why they'd done it because obviously they got less player counts on that system. So if they were able to test maybe opening that route up and then test that map out on smaller player counts and see it was to work fine, or if they close off different routes, for example, it might work well. I'm all for that basically. And the idea of this testing was to do with map flow or map balancing. Is that right?
Yeah, I think the level design, and if it makes a certain map and mode fun to play for a specific amount of players.
Right. Okay. So level design then, because that's sort of different to the CTE as well, isn't it? It's more to do with netcode and things like that. So.
Yeah. So this level design test is completely separate from the community test environment.
Yeah. Is there
as of now?
Is there any maps or modes that you can think of that would like for a good example?
Well, I can name one map that I think could be a bit better in terms of Domination and TDM gameplay, and I think it's the radio transmission map.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
One with the big tower that you can climb up on, and there's also like a backyard spot where people usually spawn, but it's not even remotely close to the middle of the map.
Yeah.
So people just usually place a spawn beacon there and stay in snipe.
Yeah.
And the whole map is kind of divergent and lots of open areas where everybody can see you. So there's not a lot of traffic going on between the buildings, unless somehow someone has clear the line of sight from snipers and from the people who are trying to get up on the roofs. So usually you see all the people bunched up in one of the two buildings, and occasionally in the barracks with the windows, and running and taking cover behind the tall tower, maybe getting up on the platform and firing some shots. But overall, in the middle of the map, you rarely see someone, running across it, because that's usually a death sentence.
Yeah.
And it also takes a lot of time, so there's not really much incentive to, go from cover to cover and actually going across, because you would be better off just getting up into the building.
Yeah, and trying to take some sort of long pop shots, burst fire in it. So if they were, so say for example, this hadn't been delayed and we were able to test this tomorrow, for example, and you were going to test it, what exactly, because obviously they can't, they've released that map, they can't, and they've set the boundaries for domination, so we're not talking about shifting the boundaries and having like the map placed somewhere else. It's impossible for them to do that sort of stuff now. So how much do you think changing the amount of players would change the flow of that map? Do you think it would be influential, or it wouldn't be influential?
I think some of the bigger maps, domination maps with more open areas, they benefit from a little bit higher player count than some of the others. But on the other hand, if you get too many players, then you'll have too many open line of sights where people are looking. So if you got a bunch of different maps in the same rotation, then having the same player count can be a problem, I think.
It'd be interesting to see how they implement it in the future. I can't think of any specific examples like maps or anything like that right now, but I am looking forward to seeing what they'll do with that in the future. Just to go back to the CTE though, one thing that you mentioned to me earlier is a little thing about obliteration, a special obliteration mode. Do you want to give some details on that?
Yeah, so they put in a new kind of server with 10 player. With
so 5v5?
With 10, yeah, it's a 5v5 obliteration small mode for competitive.
So similar to the diffuse, but I guess you would have an extra, you wouldn't just have that one life.
Yeah, exactly. So it's bringing all the players in the team together, and they can respawn. So you constantly have the dynamic of the entire team working together, instead of, one getting sniped out in the first seconds, and then you only have 4 or 3 people to work with. So keeping the competitive action constant in a game makes it much more interesting when you have a bomb to plant somewhere instead of just capping flags. So it will be like a more action-packed search and destroy kind of mission.
Yeah. It's a good choice, obliteration. It's interesting that they're going to do it on with 5v5 as well. It would make obliteration quite interesting, opposed to 64-man or 32-man, where you've got like half of the team sometimes like not even focusing on the bomb, or you have those games where everybody is focusing on the bomb and it makes it impossible to pick up half the time, or impossible to set. I think 5v5 obliteration would be quite good, because everybody in the game is going to be focused on the bomb, but then you won't get those overpowering moments where there's like 20 snipers trying to shoot you at it, and a javelin, like 5 javelin guys trying to get any vehicle that's got the bomb, stuff like that. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see the infantry fighting around obliteration now. Yeah,
me too. I think the main obliteration game mode has suffered a bit from the traveling distance between all the bomb sites, and certain vehicles, like the transport helicopter just got buffed, and the scout helicopter has been substantially more powered up by the minigun buff.
Yeah.
So they are usually able to just take the bomb very fast from one location to another, and if you don't have enough engineers in that specific moment, then you're basically gonna lose a bomb if you don't find a boat really fast.
So, anything else to do with this CTE or obliteration, or anything to do with patches or testing things in particular you want to talk about?
Yeah, so overall, the CTE experience has been very good for me. I think the netcode has been substantially improved, and you can actually feel a difference when you play it. But on the other hand, you also notice the differences in ping a lot more, in the latency between different players.
Okay.
So because you can set your receive rate higher this time, you get a more accurate representation of where all the other players are. So in a sense, you will become more accurate.
Yeah.
And this often leads to people with high ping. They're having an accurate target to shoot at, but the image might be like 300 milliseconds old.
Right.
So if they can still shoot at that person with a gun that has a time to kill of maybe 250 or 300 milliseconds as well, then when those packets reach the receiving player, they will only have a very, very small amount of time to react.
Yeah.
But the higher tick rate works really well when you play with people like under 70 ping, and everybody is under 100 ping. Then it's really, really accurate and responsive and very fun to play.
Okay, so it's something good that they've introduced then.
Yeah. So when you play in the same like high ping environment with the old tick rate, then everybody has this kind of 1.5 second lag almost.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make the same kind of impact. But on the other hand, it's a less enjoyable experience too. So I am hoping that they will split the servers so that you can have some kind of high tick rate server where everyone agrees to the same tick rate.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have these other anything goes servers with the old tick rate and people with high ping and so on. So it might split the community if you do it that way, but on the other hand, if you let people choose their own tick rate and they all play on the same server and they can choose to connect from overseas, then the tick rate won't make a uniform difference for the people playing on that server. And we really want to make a uniform difference so we can have this great experience in more local servers and also in competitive play.
Yeah. So moving on to the DLC, we have a brand new trailer released, the combined premium trailer, and it allows us to have a look at the new stuff that's coming up in Dragon's Teeth and Final Stand. Have you got any news in particular that you'd like to discuss regarding this DLC or the DLCs coming up?
Well, I've been quite interested in the new pistols.
Okay, yeah, the Desert
So,
Eagle.
have you seen the gameplay that was leaked. With they modified the test range so you could use the new server server things.
I saw one from Danny on PC. He did a YouTube video, put it up, and the Desert Eagle looks so nice. It just looks so nice, especially when he's firing it. I'll just go over very quickly. Dragon's Teeth, it's going to have 5 assignments and trophies. It's going to have a new chain link game mode and 5 achievements and trophies, the new chain link game mode, and then 11 assignments. The weapons that are coming are the Deagle 44, the Unica 6, the CS5, the MPX, and the Bulldog. We're going to get 2 gadgets, which is the Ballistic Shield and a Battle Pickup, which is a Raw. It's a sort of, I'll go into that in a bit. It's a little robot thing. And the maps are Lumpani Gardens, Pearl Market, Propaganda, and Sunken Dragon. We've got the new weapons that are coming out. The Deagle, the Unica 6. Have you had a look at this in particular?
Yeah, I've seen the video where they were shooting and reloading all the new guns.
So I'll link that video in the description below. Those of you who have already seen it or can't be bothered to watch it or whatever. Basically, the Unica is a semi-automatic revolver, Italian developed. It uses the recoil from firing to rotate the cylinder and cock the hammer, which is unlike conventional revolvers, which gives it quite a nice little animation thing. Apart from that, though, is it going to stand out compared to the other pistols that we have already, or would you have preferred to have seen another type of weapon?
I quite like the idea of this modern kind of semi-automatic revolver, because that's the whole reason to why we used to have trigger delays on all the old revolvers.
Yeah.
Because they don't use the extra propellant to, cycle the next round. But if this new revolver is semi-automatic in that fashion, then perhaps it will be the only one to not have a trigger delay. At least the first shot might have some kind of delay if the hammer is not pre-cocked.
Yeah.
But all the other shots should not have any delay if it's a semi-automatic with a pre-cocked hammer from the extra propellant.
We've also got the CS5. This is it stands for Concealable Subsonic or Supersonic Suppressed Sniper System.
It's a sniper, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's a bot action sniper rifle. It's a compact, concealable, precision tactical rifle for urban settings.
Okay.
So it seems like it's going to be similar to the that sniper rifle's just completely gone out of my head right now.
Scout Elite?
Yeah, that's it. The Scout Elite, more of a quick fire, not necessarily powerful rifle, and it seems like it seems as if it's suppressed by default, which is interesting.
That's kind of cool.
And in the test range video that Danny did, this is the one without iron sights, I think, if I'm getting this information right. In that video, there was one gun that he pulled out where if you were to look down the top of the gun, it had like these things going across it, and that's where the sight would be loaded. And it didn't seem like they had a sight, iron sights or anything like that put on there yet. So
that's probably because the main model of the gun, they usually switch out all the sights. So if you have a red dot sight, then you don't have the iron sight still on the gun, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to make like a general gun from scratch, then you wouldn't put on iron sights.
Yeah.
Because that would be a separate attachment, really. Yeah. So
it makes sense for the for building the weapon in game, just not in real life. But
yeah, so They will probably update it later.
Yeah. So that's the CS5. We've also got the MPX.
I love the bolt cycle animation on the CS5. He
The
kind of, HK slaps it around.
I can't remember it, but I'll have to go back and have a look at that.
Yeah. So the MPX, that's the new personal defense weapon, right?
Yeah.
For engineers.
Yeah, that's right. It's a submachine gun. Looking at the information that I've got here that might be relative to Battlefield in-game, it says it's got several select fire configurations for military and police use, so I guess we'll have burst fire on there. It can be used or configured to fire three calibers, three different calibers, which is interesting. So it depends. I guess it'll depend on which caliber bullet they choose us to have. And yeah, it says it takes ammunition from proprietary box magazines made of translucent polymer and holding 10, 20, or 30 rounds. So I guess they could play around with the magazine size there from anywhere from 10 to 30. I guess they'll probably give it about 25 magazine, 25 round magazine.
Maybe. I hope it will be similar to, the M5K we used to have in Battlefield 3.
It says here that the rate of fire is going to be about 850 rounds per minute, and there's going to be 0.3 recoil to the left, to the right, and 0.36 up. So not that much recoil.
It seems like, the old pocket AEK 971.
Yeah. It does actually look quite similar in these stats here. I found the damage. Apparently the damage is going to be 27 to 13, a drop off to 13, so 4 hits up close range. It seems like this is the new close quarters weapon that they're bringing out.
That's interesting because most of the personal defense weapons only have 25 max damage.
Yeah.
Unless they plan to do a revamp where they all ignore body armor at close range. But I think this new personal defense weapon MPX will be very good.
Look forward to trying it out.
Yeah.
We've also got the Bulldog, finally. I personally didn't like the look of the Bulldog. I don't know. I have this thing where I like sort of the standard assault rifles. I don't really like the bullpup assault rifles like the what's the other big one in Battlefield that everyone loves? F2000. That's bullpup, right? Yep. And I don't know. I like this sort of elongated, double-handed, like long assault rifle. I don't really like the sort of quick-fire smaller ones. It says it's going to have 34 to 25 damage, magazine size of 20 rounds, rate of fire is 700 rounds per minute apparently, and a 0.5 recoil up and 0.3 to the left and the right. So moving on from weapons to gadgets, we have the ballistic shield, or the tactical shield. It's capable of defending the user from handguns, shotguns, and submachine guns, it says on here. But I would have thought it would be capable of defending from assault rifles as well. But there are some stats on here from Synthic, which are pretty interesting. It says the damage is 120, and the rate of fire is 80. So I guess what that means is you could hit somebody, with the little animation to hit them or bash them out of the way. You could do that 80 times a minute, and every time you do it, it's going to be a one-hit kill with 120 damage basically.
I think that's good because when I played with the shield in Call of Duty, you usually had a problem with the net code when you tried to bash someone.
with their...
Sometimes it would not register in Call of Duty when you were trying to bash someone, and you always had to do it 2 times.
Yeah.
And they could usually just jump beside you and shoot you from the side, and your own player model turning towards them would not update until it was too late. So having it be this one bash kill will make sense in Battlefield, because you almost always have some kind of explosive that you can throw on the side. And I mean, two of the classes usually carry C4, and you can just, if you see someone with a shield approaching, then you can throw a C4 on the ground and just back off, and he will have to deal with the thing on the ground.
Yeah.
So
a bit of
I don't think it will be overpowered in any way. I think maybe for people who are trying to rush with SMGs, they will get annoyed if they don't carry some kind of explosive.
Yeah.
Or if they go lone wolf and don't have some kind of team backup.
A little bit of information here about the shield. It says the gadget is two-handed and deflects all incoming fire, ranging from handguns to heavy machine guns. So just to clarify what I said earlier, it seems like it is going to deflect assault rifles and heavy machine guns. But the in-game description says the ballistic shield will protect you from small arms fire, but can only take limited damage from vehicles, explosives, and high-caliber rounds before being rendered useless. It also says that the gadget, the shield has a broken model as well as a normal model, but it's currently we don't know under what circumstances the model is used. I think this is just my theory. I've got no evidence for this at all. I think that'll be some sort of battle pickup. You'll be able to battle pick up some sort of scenery on the ground and use it as a broken shield. And the broken model, it appears to it says that the broken model appears to be related to the shield glass panel that can shatter on the front. If you've seen any pictures of the shield, you can see there's that glass panel where your eyes can poke out, where you can see, and there are images of that being glass being broken. Finally, it says, originally the ballistic shield was supposed to allow users to also wield handguns, but this was later scrapped due to memory constraints caused by the last generation consoles. I actually, even though it's a bad thing that the last generation consoles are holding Battlefield back, I think that the ballistic shield shouldn't have. I don't think you should be able to wield handguns. I don't think you should have a weapon. I think that would make it too similar to Call of Duty and too overpowered in certain situations.
Yeah.
And it apparently is going to be with the support kit only, which would make sense.
I think it will be, a primary weapon choice, and I think that will be a suiting position instead of being, this battle pickup.
Yeah.
Because if it's exclusive to the support class, then obviously it will be their primary weapon is replaced by the shield.
I guess what it is when you, because obviously it's a gadget, so it would go in the gadget slot. But what I think will happen is, just in the way that when you equip certain things, they block you selecting other things. Like for example, if you have if you select one launcher as a gadget, you can't select another launcher as a gadget. When you're the engineer, I think if you go into the support class and you select this as your weapon, as your gadget, I think it'll block off you being able to pick a primary weapon, a secondary weapon. I think that's probably how it would work.
We'll see when the hashtag BattleShield4 starts to trend.
Yep. Moving on to the next gadget, there's the RAWR, or the RAW. This one is definitely a battle pickup as far as I can tell. And it's if you've not seen it, it's basically if you imagine an EOD bot with a fatter, more armoured body, and on top of it, instead of having a repair tool, there is an M240B machine gun, and there's a M2. I'll get these words out eventually. There's also an M203 grenade launcher on top. In real life, the machine gun carries 450 rounds of ammunition, and it carries 4 grenade rounds. So I don't know how that will transfer, obviously, over into game. Um, but there will be. Oh, according to the in-game description, it will have an LMG and 4 grenade launchers. So there definitely will be the 4 grenades. Just not sure about how many rounds it will have. What do you think
Okay.
to What do you think to the raw?
So I've played with a similar robot in a game called Homefront,
Yep.
and it usually worked out okay. You would use it to scout an area, maybe clear out a flag before you move in.
Yeah.
And if it's a battle pickup, then I don't think it will be as annoying as it would be if it would replace the EOD bot. So maybe you'll see it a few times per match, similar to the people with the pickup snipers.
Yeah.
And but usually I think that the pickups are kind of weak compared to you just running a regular primary weapon, because the snipers are usually quite slow to
Yeah.
handle, and the fully automatic shotguns, you can't hit anything with them.
Yeah.
Basically, and you're just better off running with some kind of assault rifle or carbine,
Yeah.
because the kill time is always better with the stock weapons anyway.
So yeah, basically wonder how this will be. I kind of just want to see what it will be like in game, and how it will sort of how much damage it takes, how quickly it will be able to kill people. Um, Before I make a proper decision really on it. I do like the idea though of them putting it as a battle pickup, just in case it is like completely overpowered. I think if they were to release it as a normal weapon or gadget,
Yeah.
and and people decide it's overpowered, I think it's a lot worse if they were to buff it. Sorry, nerf it. Um, I think that would be a lot worse than what they've done now, having it as a battle pickup and that sort of being the limitation on it. Um,
Yeah. So I think having certain things that can get too overwhelming in certain situations, it's a good decision to keep them as battle pickups instead. And one example is, sometimes when you play Rush, you get this kind of mortar spam,
yeah,
and because it's remote now, then even if you fire back, then there's probably no one sitting on the actual mortar.
yeah,
So making the mortar a little bit more powerful, but making it some kind of battle pickup
would make sense.
would be more balanced, I think.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what I was trying to say, but you just said it in a lot better way. um, Finally, just a few bits of trivia. I suppose it will have thermal sights and zoom optics. So zoom optics, I was probably expecting, but thermal sights, that's a nice addition that I didn't really expect to have in a little gadget, a little robot. That'd be interesting for, I assume, going down like corridors or dark places with, to shoot out the lights as the little robot and then switch to thermal. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
So,
So is there anything more in the Dragon's Teeth
well,
DLC?
there's the maps. Now, I've had a look around. About a week ago, I had a proper search around for whenever the trailer came out, I had a proper search around for the maps, and I was able to find the real life places for some of them. Pearl Market being the easiest, and I actually really really liked them. The places that were the real life places that they'd chosen to make the maps from. They seemed really interesting. They seemed as if they would lend themselves to Battlefield really really well. If you look on If you just Google or YouTube Pearl Market, for example, it's like an indoor uh, marketplace specializing in like pills, but they do all sorts of stuff. It's basically looks like it's going to be Grand Bazaar, but indoors. Or it looks like it could be like a sort of a shopping centre, like anybody's local large shopping centre where they have multiple stores. It looks like it's going to be like that, but indoors. So
That seems quite similar to, the big central house when you play Domination on Siege of Shanghai. There's like a shopping mall with the escalators and
yeah, it seems like the sort of that ground floor sort of place.
yeah.
So yeah,
I really like this, being more close quarter centric maps and so on. So maybe, with the focus test, they could have been trying to test those modes on these new maps and see how the spawns were working out.
Yeah, that would make sense, I suppose.
Did you like the close quarters DLC from Battlefield 3?
I do, but what I've just thought about is I don't like the fact that they're copying their routine with Battlefield 3, with Battlefield 4. Like, it's just occurred to me that obviously we get the map packs with the maps in from the older games. That's sort of a standard. We had that in Battlefield 3. I was expecting that in Battlefield 4, but it seems like this is the close quarters one, just like we had close quarters, and it seems like the one after that is going to be the sort of large open one, like it was in what was it, Armored Kill.
Wasn't China Rising also quite open?
Yeah, and it seems like the Naval Strike DLCs were sort of like the only really unique ones. To come out of the Battlefield DLCs, possibly in the last two games. Now looking back, like thinking about it, because we've had the close quarters ones, we've had the large open ones, and the armored ones, and I guess this Dragon's Teeth one is going to be a lot less vehicle focused, similar to how the close quarters ones were. I don't know. I just realised that it seemed like they were copying the plan. Like they've got a close quarters one, they've got an open one. I don't know. It just seemed to me like Naval Strike was the only unique one, really. But I do actually like the close quarters. Going back to your question, like when that came out with Battlefield 3, I know a lot of people were apprehensive of it and spoke out against it because they thought they were copying Call of Duty, and they probably were copying Call of Duty, but I think they did it really, really well. I think Battlefield obviously is supposed to be large open warfare, but one of the best things about Battlefield is its infantry gameplay. I had so many great games on Battlefield 3 on Grand Bazaar, going down that middle corridor. And it's one corridor, but I'd go down that corridor hundreds of times, pushing backwards and forwards, and it wouldn't get boring. So yeah, I do like the infantry gameplay. So saying I was a bit annoyed at them copying the sort of plan, I do kind of like that plan that they had. So yeah.
Well, it's basically this gap analysis. What have you made already and what haven't you made? So I think they've covered quite a lot of ground with all the DLCs that have come out so far.
Yeah.
And the last Endgame, or is it Final Stand DLC? Final Stand, I think it is.
Yeah, that's right.
It's supposed to have this. It's rumored to have a nuclear device.
Yeah.
And this flying kill vehicle or whatever it's called. It's possibly supposed to counter such missiles coming in.
So I guess basically now's a better time than ever to move on to Final Stand. So Final Stand, it's the fifth and final expansion for Battlefield 4. Basically, we know all that we know at the moment is it will focus on the conclusion of the War of 2020. Obviously, there's be five achievements and trophies, and it says there's going to be 10 assignments. And just like you mentioned, there's the multiple kill vehicle. Now, this is something that I looked up as soon as the trailer went live and published on Twitter, the Wikipedia of it. And if you actually go on the Wikipedia, there's some footage of it as well. Um, it it looks like it looks super awesome and super interesting. I'm just worried of it being over powerful because it's this like new super gadget thing. But yeah, basically just to give people a bit of information about what it actually does. The MKV, or the multiple kill vehicle, it's a planned US kinetic energy-based warhead. It was designed to intercept and destroy multiple ballistic missiles, including possible decoy targets. During an actual hostile ballistic missile attack, the carrier vehicle, with its cargo of small kit vehicles, would have maneuvered into the path of the enemy missile. Basically, would use tracking data from the ballistic missile defense systems and its own seeker. The carrier vehicle would have dispensed and guided the kill vehicles to destroy any warheads or countermeasures. So basically, you've got this floating, flying sort of cylinder, and inside that cylinder, it's got these smaller kill vehicles. And this large cylinder can fly itself into the path of ballistic missiles, and then when it gets into the path, it deploys these smaller kill vehicles, which basically, as the missiles come in towards, they make sure that they hit it and blow it up in the air. So it's kind of like a countermeasure, I suppose, to missiles and stuff like that. I'm just trying to think of how we would see it in Battlefield being used. Like, can you think of an example when you need an MKV right now?
So my example would be from a game mode like Carrier Assault, where you have this missile attacks from some of the objectives onto your base. Mm-hmm. Then if you had a vehicle with these kinds of intercepting projectiles, then maybe you could stop some of the damage. And also if there's some kind of game mode where you're chasing after nuclear launch sites or something, and the enemy gets a hold of one of these, then if you are able to control the multiple kill vehicle carrier, then it might be possible to defend against these kinds of missile attacks.
Yeah.
So we'll probably see some kind of new game mode revolving around nuclear warheads, or possibly that there's some kind of Easter egg with some nuclear device.
Well, there's been lots of hints to do with that sort of stuff, hasn't there? But not any solid information yet, really. You've just reminded me, though, when you mentioned new game mode. In the Dragon's Teeth, there's the chain link game mode, which we haven't gone over.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of like Conquest, but if you get a chain that's closer together, you get more points or something.
Yeah, so basically players must link adjacent capture points, which causes the opposing team's tickets to bleed quicker. So basically, I'm right in thinking this is the way that Battlefield works at the moment, right? So Battlefield 4, if you take, for example, 2 flags and the enemy team has 1, then the tickets bleed, obviously. But if I was to take a 3rd flag then, and the enemy has 1 still, does the ticket bleed increase? Like, that's how it is currently in Battlefield, right? I think what they're changing is the fact that they must link adjacent capture points for the tickets to bleed quicker. I think that's the only difference. But I might be wrong in thinking that if you get more flags at the moment, you get a higher ticket bleed. So
it seems like they are trying to put in some structure to how you play a game mode like Conquest. And make it a bit faster if you play it well. So if you played the maps in Karkand, where you had very split up flags all over the place, then you'd usually see people capping like any flag they could flank to, and there was no real coherency between, which side of the map was the enemy and which side was your teammates.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to make it a bit more structured instead of having these situations when you play on lockers and someone flanks through and caps your B flag when you are at the D flag.
Yeah.
And then the whole kind of game stirs up for a minute, and it usually ends up with one team, flipping over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through.
And that usually leads to some kind of spawn trap situations. So either you win or you fail that kind of operation, and it just flips the game to be more of chance based. So if you focus more on adjacent flags, then it will be like a rope pulling contest.
Yeah. That's actually a perfect analogy, isn't it? The rope pulling contest. You'll have I think the idea of the chain link will be that it will link in with the flag placement on the map as well. I think we'll see probably more linear flag placement, which would allow people to link adjacent capture points better, or at least, if not linear, at least a clear progression from one flag to the other. Whereas if we spawn in like Goal Mode Railway at the moment, there's, everybody can go for all of the flags basically, apart from the one that is given to you at the beginning. I think what we'll see is, in Conquest, I think we'll see maps designed where both teams will rush off at the beginning, and they'll both be able to capture about half the map each, and then from there it will be a sort of, like you said, a perfect example, a tug of war between which flags you can get back onto your side and which flags you can try and, lose, basically.
So that also translates very well to the rush game mode, so you can make a map that's good both for Conquest, Rush, and Chain Link, and even something like Domination or TDM, and you just take however long strip of the map that you need, and it will work regardlessly.
Yeah, I think that's... I hope we're right about this. I mean, we've been right with some things that we've guessed about before, so I hope that we're right about this, because I've seen such a huge deterioration of Rush from Battlefield 3 to 4, so hopefully the map design, and hopefully my idea of them being linear to link in with that chain link mode, hopefully that will bring a bit more life into Rush. Is there anything else that you want to mention to do with the DLCs?
Well, do you think that the multiple kill vehicle will have its own, parent vehicle, or do you think it will be something that's launched from a separate area instead?
The multiple kill vehicle. So that's not not the battle pickup raw thing. That's okay, yeah.
Do we have room in the memory for another type of vehicle?
Yeah, that's interesting actually. So do you think it might be placed on a tank or something like that? Like, it might be placed on something?
No, either it could be some kind of countermeasure, or it could be like the big bomber. It's a station somewhere on the map, and if you launch it, then it will automatically deflect a missile strike somewhere.
I don't know. Have you seen the with a...
Yes.
Yeah. In the premium video, it looked as if... Now, I know it was obviously cinematic, and it wasn't a first-person view of anybody using it, but it looked as if it was progressing quite a distance through a sort of forest area with snow mountains in the background and that. So it looks like it's going to be guided, at least, unlike the bomber. So if they do have a place to... if you do have to go to a station to use it, I do hope that it can be guided. in regards to whether they'll be able to do it due to memory, God, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, they were able to pull off the naval strike things because they didn't have the anti-air vehicle, right?
Yeah.
And they also removed some of the jets when during carrier assault, I think.
Yeah.
So if we make some new kind of game mode in Final Stand, then maybe they will switch up the vehicle balance again to make room for new kinds of vehicles and stuff.
Yeah, that makes
We'll
sense.
see. But that goes hand in hand with what we discussed last time, that maybe switching up the vehicle gameplay can be, a liberation from the overall, shitfest
Yeah.
that happens in 64-player Conquest, where everything is put against everything. So
Yeah.
we
It's not
can see if
necessarily a bad thing.
no.
Do you want to mention anything else or give any shout outs or anything like that?
Well, I just like to announce with you that Creators Cast has started their beta, and if you want to upload 60 FPS gameplays, you can go to their site and apply for your own cast.
Do you want to? I know that you've recently got a creators cast. Do you know the link to it yet? Are you able to promote the link?
Yeah, I can give you a link to post in the description later.
Cool. No worries.
Didn't you upload a video as well?
Yeah, I've uploaded as well. I just wondered if you'd uploaded anything yet. So.
Yeah, I have 2 videos. One is a kind of Lockers quick tosh with some techno music, and the other is a Skyrim mod DLC showcase.
Okay.
And they both look quite good on their video player.
If any of you guys are interested, check out the description now, and the link should be there. So thank you very much for being on this episode of Alt F4, Eric. It's a pleasure to have you here as always.
Thank you.
And whereabouts can people find you if they need to get in contact with you?
You can message me on Twitter at Absol_89. That's probably the best way to reach me.
And as always, I'd like to promote your blog. Whereabouts? What sort of stuff can they find on your blog?
Well, I've written some kind of metagame analysis posts, and I also done some reviews of the Titanfall beta and gameplay, as well as our recent Battlefield 4 vehicle balance article. So I haven't written much else on the blog since then. But if you haven't checked it out yet, then maybe you'll find it interesting.
So finally, thank you very much for your time, Eric. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you on next time on Alt F4.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
So now we're joined by Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How are yourself?
Good. Good. Been very busy with uni, but apart from that, not too bad. Basically, I know you wanted to talk a little bit very quickly about the new Games with Gold thing. Should we cover that very quickly and then get into what you've been playing this week?
Yeah, sure. Well, as you know, with Games with Gold, obviously, if you're a Gold member for the Xbox 360, you get 2 games a month. One was from the 1st to the 15th of the month, and the second was the 16th to the 30th. Well, now Xbox have decided that it'd be a good idea to have it for the Xbox One as well. I believe the first 2 games for the Xbox One will be Max: The Curse of Brotherhood and Halo Spartan Assault. Now with Xbox Gold, they've changed the system. For the Xbox 360, it'll stay the same, but for the Xbox One, it's going to be more of a rental system in the sense of a bit like PlayStation Plus. If you're a Gold member, you have to be Gold, obviously, to purchase the game, but you don't own the game forever, sadly. you have to stay gold to play the game. So if, for example, 2 months down the line, I turn back to silver,
Yeah.
I'd have to purchase gold again to play the game,
Yeah.
which I find a bit of a pain in the bum, shall we say. But I guess it's trying to drive the sales for gold.
Yeah. I don't know. Can you see that being that much of an incentive for people to buy it? Like, for example, if I drop down to silver subscription, and I'm not that interested. Obviously, us two, we're gamers. We're gonna be getting gold anyway. But for those people who it drops to silver and they're not necessarily playing online that much, they maybe just buy it for the games they've got. Like, can you see that being an incentive? Can you see having that game there ready waiting for them when they purchase gold again? Can you see that being an incentive to get people back, or do you think, I don't know, maybe they're just trying to get some more money from us?
Yes and no. I'd say yes because obviously it's free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about, oh, I've got to go and purchase this game or that game. If it's there for free, you just download it and you play it. But I could also say, well, you have to obviously purchase the gold, which is money.
Yeah.
You have to have a fast enough internet to be able to download the game. But also, it feels sort of a bit of a, oh, well, we weren't getting that many sales, so we'll give you an incentive, but it's not worth it. Because I know that most of the games they're giving away now are $20 and less.
Yeah.
Which obviously that works out to, what, say £30 a year in English money, just a rough estimate.
Yeah.
Where myself, I wouldn't sit there and go, right, because of the games I'm getting a month that'll be £30, I'm going to go splash out £30 on membership.
Yeah.
I also know that they've changed the app system.
Okay.
Because they've changed it from being behind the paywall of having to be gold. I believe that some of the more popular apps, including YouTube and Netflix,
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
are now going to be silver.
Yeah, so they're switching stuff up with the gold subscription service, then it seems. I'd like to do a bit of a shout out, basically, to anybody listening to this podcast who is basically the equivalent of me and Steve, but just for the PlayStation side. Like, we're huge gamers. I play on the PC, and I just happen to have chosen the Xbox to go with, and I can't afford the PlayStation. That's why I don't have any knowledge really of the PlayStation side. But this channel isn't just for Xbox gamers or PC gamers, it's for everybody, obviously. Mainly started out as Battlefielders, and the Battlefield covers all platforms. So, if there's anybody out there who's got a PlayStation and knows a lot about the PlayStation community and stuff like that, and you're listening and you feel like you're a good speaker, get in contact any way you want. Twitter me, comment below, and hopefully we'll get you on to speak with Steve in the future about the PlayStation side of their games with gold. Because, well, basically, I don't know too much about it, but they've been giving away better games, it seems. Like, I don't know which games, but I've just heard from people, and a general feeling in the PlayStation community is that they're happier with these games, it seems.
Yeah, I know also that they were, say for example, they gave away 6 games. One of them at least would be for the Vita, which obviously is another system of theirs. And I believe that most games were cross-platform between the PS3 and the PS4 to the Vita and back, sort of trying to link everything as a whole.
Yeah, trying to support their peripherals, basically, like what Xbox didn't do. Like, I was hugely surprised when they announced that they were going to be doing a Kinectless Xbox, because, like I said in a video before the Xbox was released, the whole point of them bundling it in together is to get everybody who's got an Xbox to have a Kinect, and then they'll get then developers will actually want to develop for the Kinect more and integrate it a lot more. They won't have a player base or an Xbox base where maybe 5% of all the people have got Kinects or whatever. They'll have 100%. So that's the sort of stuff that, like, I would have expected Microsoft to do with the games with gold on the Kinect. Maybe bring out some old games with gold that you have to use the Kinect for and stuff like that to push the new Kinect integration. But obviously they've decided that they're not going to support their peripheral anymore. So maybe, yeah, it's nice to see that Sony are at least trying to support their peripheral in their game, in other programs that they do, like their sort of games with gold equivalent. So, very quickly, what have you been playing this week?
Well, as you know, I'm a lover of bad games, but I actually played a decent game, which was the Lego movie video game.
What do you think?
Um, to be honest, I actually really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of the Lego games just because the earlier Lego games sort of feel like a mash this button, build this and build that, and that's it.
Yeah.
Where this one tried to be slightly more unique in the sense of there was sections. Obviously, I don't want to spoil it too much, so I won't really say too much. But
Yeah.
there was a section where you fall through a hole in the floor, and
Uh-huh.
it was sort of an on rails falling section. But it changed the pace slightly. Obviously, you couldn't choose where you were going. You were in a section that was going towards an endpoint, shall we say?
Right.
But you could control yourself in that area, and
Okay.
obviously there was stuff to collect, like the studs, for example, and the golden instruction books. I believe, if I can remember correctly, off the top of my head, was the last time I saw it myself was Lego Harry Potter years 5 to 7.
Okay.
But that was featured very rarely. Where this time, I believe there's 2 or 3 sections, so they're trying to change it a bit more from the previous games.
Okay. See, I'm like sort of like I'm disappointed in this sort of Lego reboot series. Like I see that they're okay for kids, and yeah, like we were talking about this earlier, and it's sort of like with Disney, they do this sort of innuendo for adults that sort of go over the kids' heads. But it just seems like whenever I play a Star Wars, a Lego game, for example, the Star Wars one, there was no difference between that and the Harry Potter one, and the Harry Potter one, and the Star Wars one, and the Indiana Jones one, apart from the licensing details. So it's basically like they could have copied and pasted everything, and just maybe like changed the textures or changed like a little bit of the layout to make it look like Hogwarts instead of Mos Eisley Canteen or whatever. It doesn't seem like there was that much progression from game to game. It sort of like got stuck in a COD thing. And I remember playing a Lego game when I was younger that was like totally different. It was a open world sort of Grand Theft Auto Lego game, and I think it's called Lego Island now. Actually, Lego Island. I might just be making it up, but yeah, it's basically like you could control all the different people that lived on the island. There might be like a car mechanic that lived there, and you go over and see him, and then like you could like swap into his body, and you'd have to like go and find out all the people on the island and do different tasks for them, and it was like an open world game. So it just seems like the Lego stuff. All I'm trying to get at is, I like they've progressed from open world and they progressed down to side scroller, and it just seems like they've been stuck in side scroller ever since. Like I know it's not necessarily a side scroller, there are open bits in the game, but that sort of format, like sort of non-open world, very closed, linear. I don't know. It just seems to be nothing there to grab my attention, bring me back. Just the same old, just with a different license stuck on top. Do you think there's anything like majorly different that doesn't just seem like the new Lego Movie license stuck on top?
Not really. I'd say one of the features that did put me off a little bit to begin with was in the earlier Lego games. They sort of hummed and hawed, shall we say, but in the ones they speak.
Okay, yeah.
Which was obviously they mainly spoke because obviously in the movie they spoke.
Yeah.
But I believe the only other one that I know of myself was the Lego Lord of the Rings game.
Right.
I didn't like it to begin with, but it did make a nice change when I got used to it because obviously instead of it was sort of, they actually had a bit of interaction between each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was quite nice. But other than that, to be honest, I'd say that it's like any other Lego game.
So
really,
if you like the Lego games in their current format, you're obviously going to like this one. If you're an old bastard like me and can remember the 90s game, things might be a bit different. You've been playing anything else this week?
FIFA 13, because I couldn't get on with 14. I just didn't enjoy it myself, but I won't go into that one because I could bore everybody to death with that.
Right.
I also been playing some Titanfall on
Okay, yeah.
the 360.
So I've fallen away from Titanfall recently. I've not really kept up to date with it. I probably will get back into it later on, but I can't right now. But yeah, that's for another time. So how's the Titanfall community doing? What's been happening? Any updates to the game or anything like that?
I did notice that obviously the hardcore Titanfall players have been playing still, but a lot of the as people like to call it, the Christmas bait or the new
Yeah.
bait, has disappeared.
Okay.
It's sort of more. It's turned into the hardcore sort of gamers really now.
Right. Okay.
Sadly, because obviously some of the hype's dropped away. But to re-excite people again, the Xbox One has new DLC for Titanfall. It's 3 maps, I believe.
Okay.
Priced at, I believe it's something like $7.99.
Okay. Okay.
Not exactly too sure, but I thought that was quite interesting that they're willing to bring out DLC so quickly, but sort of they seem quite big maps this
Okay.
time. From looking at some of the pictures I can see, they've tried to make it larger, but not as open, if that makes sense. Sort of they're trying to make it slightly more narrow,
Okay.
sort of like, and there'll be a lot of higher places this time. Instead of it sort of being towards ground level and maybe slightly above eye level, they're trying to make it so it's happening in the sky as well between the pilots.
Okay. Cool. So actually making use of the unique things that they've brought to the game, their map packs are sort of building upon that.
Yeah, sort of like with the wall running, for example. Not many games did it well, and not many games seem to have pulled it off to the point where people seem quite happy with using it. Because I know with some games, with their features, obviously after a while they sort of people go, oh no, I don't like that, so I won't use it. But I've
Yeah.
seen quite a lot of people using the wall runs, for example, and the wall hangs to build momentum.
Yeah.
And it's quite nice to make, because it makes the game quite a fast-paced game that way, with the momentum going like with you.
Yeah. So you think these new maps, them being larger, will actually encourage that sort of wall running and basically the stuff that's new to this game?
Yeah, I do.
Have you, talking about the games that I've been playing this week, if that's all right, have you ever heard of a game called Prison Architect?
No, I haven't, sadly.
No? Okay. Well, basically, it's this like top-down 2D game, and you're basically like the warden of a prison, and you basically build your little prison, and it's like a cartoony thing,
Yeah.
like 2D thing, and you've got to like build your different cells. You've got to build like for like a basic prison. You've got to have some like basic rooms. So you've got to have like cells. You got to have like showers. You've got to have like a holding cell for them to be sorted into their like own cells and stuff. You've got to have like a yard.
That sounds really cool.
You got to have like little delivery places and stuff. And you basically like you build your little cells and stuff like that, and you like populate it with staff. So you've got like a warden. You've got patrol officers, you've got canine officers, you've got your normal like prison officers, and it's kind of like it's like a strategy game, like real-time strategy game. If you've ever seen sort of like Dinner Dash or what else is like it? Games like Dinner Dash or sort of tycoon, like Giant Hotel Tycoon.
A bit like Theme Hospital.
Yeah,
I think it is.
it's not as open world like The Sims, like SimCity or Tropico 5, those sorts of games. It's sort of like a strategy game.
Yeah.
But I'm having like loads of fun with it. It's like super cheap. It's in beta at the moment, and it's on Steam Greenlight thing, I think they call it. Super cheap, and I don't know. I'm just finding it like really fun. It's like one of those games that's like super fun. It's not got anything like necessarily like outstanding to it. It's just really fun. If you're looking for a fun game, go and check out Prison Architect. What else have I been playing? Have you been playing anything else recently?
Not really, because I seem to get stuck in the routine of I buy a game and then I start playing it, and then I'll buy another game. At the moment, my backlog has got so big, and I just sit down before I start work and just play as much as I can.
Yeah.
But I'm getting into the habit at the moment where I'll play an hour and then I'll get bored.
Right. Okay.
Which obviously isn't too good if you're going to be a hardcore gamer. But anyway.
I listened to this thing called well, I'm not advertising. It's probably bad to advertise other podcasts, but I do listen to this other podcast where this guy is supposed to be like, he's like the head of this whole like video game website and all this stuff, and he literally hates games. He like literally can't stand them, and I was like thinking, well, why the fuck are you doing this job? Let me do it. But yeah, anyway, I suppose all of us sort of get like that at one point. Like I've been like that with Battlefield over the course of Battlefield being released. So don't worry, you're not losing your hardcore gamership vibes, Steve. Don't worry, you'll be fine. We'll get you stuck into something addictive, and you'll get it back.
Hope.
So another one that I've been playing recently. Have you heard anything about Faster Than Light, FTL?
I've heard little bits about it, but I'm sure you're going to elaborate on it, and it'll be quite interesting.
Well, the easiest way to explain it. Have you ever seen? It's super geeky as well. Have you ever seen Stargate Universe?
I've seen, yeah, I have. I just want to make sure, yeah.
The one where they're like on the ship, and they're like, it stops every now and again at a planet.
Yes, I have.
Memories? Yeah. So basically, if you guys have seen Stargate, that's basically like Stargate Universe. That's what that game's about. For those of you that haven't, Stargate Universe, basically there's this ship that's like traveling like faster than light, and these people have managed to get aboard it and they can't stop it. And it's got this automated system where when it comes to a planet which they can sort of get resources from, it'll stop for them, and they get a certain amount of time, and they get to go and explore the planet, and then they've got to get back to the ship before it goes off again, because like I said, they can't control it. Basically, the idea of Faster Than Light is it's the exact same concept, apart from you can sort of control the ship. So you've got this sort of star map, and well, first of all, you've got your ship. You can choose a couple of different types of ships, and you get to unlock different types of ships, and they have different abilities, different weapons, different all sorts of different stuff. And basically, you choose your ship, and then you start, and you've got different sectors to get across. So you're traveling across the universe, and you've got a star map, and you choose. You'll see where you're located at the beginning on one star, and you'll choose the next star to go to. And you'll travel there, and then it'll come out of its faster than light speed, and you'll be put in that star system that you've chosen to go to, and then a scenario will happen, and you'll either get attacked by other people doing like the same sort of thing, like AI people exploring. There's scrap that you can find. You can go. Sometimes you'll appear in a star system, and there'll be a planet, and you'll be able to go down and investigate the planet. And there's all sorts of little different scenarios that'll pop up. And the whole idea of the game is to get across to the other side of the universe, or the galaxy, or the solar system, whatever it is. And it sort of progresses towards, when you're looking at your star map, you want to move to the right of the screen, and there's an exit on it. And basically, if you progress closer towards the exit, there's this huge force of ships that are chasing you, and they're called the rebels, or I might have that the wrong way around. You might be the rebels, and they might be Imperials or whatever. But anyway, these huge ships are chasing you, and you've got to try and get to the exit on the right side of the screen in as few spaces as possible. Otherwise, those ships will start to take over the planets. And if you're stuck on a planet, or if you dropped out into a planet where they are, the rebels or the bad guys or whatever, then that quick time event or that scenario that pops up will always be like super hard, and you'll always be taking on the bad guys. So you've got this game where you're like sort of traveling across the universe, and you stop at random stops that you choose, and little events happen, and yeah, it's basically, you've got different weapons that you can pick up. If you destroy enemies, you can pick up their weapons. There's things like loads of little sci-fi references. So there's loads of different. There's like laser weapons. There's ion weapons. All these things that you'd expect from sci-fi. And there's loads of little hints to like pop culture sci-fi as well. Stuff like Star Wars. There's Star Trek. The Borg. There's like a ship which is basically just a cube, and it looks very much like a Borg ship. Yeah, the weapons that they have on it are very similar to like Borg weapons. So, and yeah, again, it's very similar to Prison Architect. It's nothing really outstanding. It's an indie game again, but it's one of those games that I'm having fun with. Like capital FUN. So much fun, and if any other reason to like recommend a game to you, like I might as well recommend stuff that's gonna be fun at least. So yeah, another little recommendation there. FTL, Faster Than Light. Yeah, I'll try and see if there's either a copy of Prison Architect or Faster Than Light, Steve, for you to get, and then get you it and get you on it for next week, and then maybe do like a little Steve played things. Like the games that Addison's talked about, are they actually any good?
Just like a thumbnail of my face. Saying that, it might scare everybody off, so that might not be a good idea.
Your face is fine. Don't worry about that. I'll blow up your face like super big, so everybody can see every tiny detail in it. Yep.
But my nose would take over the screen.
Good. So, anything else that you want to cover? I know you've got to shoot off around now. I'm not sure like how flexible you are, but anything else that you want to cover before you do have to go?
I can give it another 10 minutes if you want. I don't mind.
Cool. Have you got anything that you want to go over? Any alt to do with gaming or alt in general?
Not that I can think of. Oh, that's the thing that come into my head. I want to know your views, if possible, please, about Twitch apparently being bought by Google.
Ah, yeah.
Because obviously you're streaming / YouTubing, so I thought it'd be quite interesting to hear your opinions about it.
Yeah. I'm unsure. Like, I'm very unsure. I've watched about maybe 6 or 7 videos on the topic, and I've gauged other people's opinions. I was thinking about doing another video myself, but I didn't want to necessarily make a video where the first 2 minutes were really thought out and thoughtful, and then I didn't really have anything else to say.
Yeah.
Basically, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's bad. And the reason I had that reaction is because of the way that YouTube has treated its users the way that Google and YouTube have treated its users on YouTube since Google took over.
Yeah.
If you're a YouTuber and you produce content, you know that they're being very, very unfriendly. They're sort of they're sticking with the old school copyright people and letting them sort of tear down any sort of creativity on the internet. They're sort of sticking along with those guys. They're just being very unuser friendly. But then I think about it and I see the incentives for Twitch, and like, for example, with Twitch has a lot of minor problems where getting this money will like really, really, really help them out. Things like their streaming service, it'll stream, but it sometimes will drop to a stream rate which is way below what it needs to be. There's problems with stuttering and buffering and things like that, which will all be like really, really easily sorted out with money. Their site really needs a revamp, just the sort of usability of it, and that can all be solved really easily with like a quick injection of money. I don't know. I think we need to sort of see how much control Twitch retains over their service.
Yeah.
I think it's, if I was a Twitch user, I think I'd be wary, just because of the way that so many people have been switching over to Twitch from YouTube because of what YouTube's been doing. Now it sort of seems like that switch was pointless. So yeah, I just want to see basically how much freedom Twitch gets. It seems like necessarily their service wasn't necessarily that user friendly, but the way that they operated their service was, and the way that they did things was. Whereas YouTube's their service and their homepage and their stuff like that is very user friendly, but the way that like they operate and the way that they let their users operate isn't. So I just hope that Twitch doesn't switch basically to YouTube way of things. What do you think? What do you think about it?
It's a hard one for me, really, because I never really use Twitch. Obviously, I know a few people that do, but I suppose on a positive, obviously, money going to something that may have, for example, I know people complain sometimes about the chat, saying that it's slightly buggy, etc., etc. Obviously, that will fix all those problems.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I'm not a big fan with the whole YouTube that I have to have a Google Plus account.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm scared it'll go in that sort of thing where they've got this money now and they don't want to help the people that sort of promote them in the first place. They sort of want to be the whole, well, no, this is what we want to do, and if you don't like it, you'll have to go elsewhere.
Which reminds me very quickly. I don't know, have you heard of Creators Cast or Creator Cast?
I believe so.
It's basically YouTube where you can upload at 60 frames a second and it'll play in 60 frames a second. It's just launched and it's very, very small at the moment. I think one of the people in my Twitter community, I don't know if you know him, Danny on PC or Danny on Twitter, he's currently the #1 on Twitch, not on Twitch, Jesus Christ, on Creators Cast. So if you're interested in checking out a channel that's doing well, I'll link Danny's channel in the description below. But yeah, Creators Cast it's just another option really that I've been really interested in, and they have a forum, and in the forum they've got this is for users of Creator Cast. Inside the forum they've got what should we do next topic. And they give the users votes. So I had 5 votes, I think, and I was able to donate like 3 votes to add in a little, like on YouTube they've got the little, Jesus Christ, my mind's gone blank. The little cogwheel where you can select your video quality settings. I couldn't think of a word for cogwheel then, or the equivalent. Jesus Christ. Well, basically, there was this voting system. They said, what should we add next? And I thought it'd be really interesting to have some sort of switch for frames per second. So you could switch between 30 and 60. That was one of the suggestions, and I could vote for that. I thought that was a really, really, really just great idea and great way of showing how they're totally different to YouTube. Imagine if YouTube did that, like had some way of us voting of what YouTube should have next. They'd never do that. I can't ever see them doing anything like that. So Creators Cast, it just seems like a very more user-friendly version of YouTube. So if you're interested in YouTube and putting videos up, check out Creators Cast. Anything else that you want to go over, Steve?
I know that Halo 5, there's a lot of fuss made about it because they've given a release date. Or they give a release.
They've given a what, sorry?
A release date for Halo 5.
Okay, what's the release date at the moment?
The release date at the moment, it could change, will be in fall 2015. I thought, myself, that they gave away the actual date, but obviously they want to put it into sort of a certain category and release the date a bit later down the line.
Okay. Are you looking forward to Halo, or? Cause I hate Halo personally, but
I'm a big fan. I'm that sad that I sit there and build the Halo Lego when I've got the limited edition collector's guide, etc., etc.
Okay.
But I'm not too excited because it's going to be on the Xbox One. And it feels to me that it's a bit like if you're a Halo fan, they're trying to force you to have the Xbox One now. And it's a bit like, well, I don't want that. I'm also not excited really because I didn't like Halo 4 that much. Mm-hmm. I thought the ideas were a good idea, but the way it was executed, I didn't enjoy myself.
Okay.
So I'm not too excited for Halo 5.
Yeah. Personally, like, I just have a problem with Halo's mixed identity. I think I've said it before, but in the trailers it looks like a modern sci-fi film, like J.J. Abrams sort of Star Trek type film, very serious. And then when you get into game, in some of the games, you're confronted by these tiny joke-like aliens in high-pitched voices, and it's almost got comedy elements in there. And then you go to their expanded universe with the books, and they're like very, very serious. And if it was like just serious or just like comedy, I suppose I could maybe get on board. But I just have a problem with, like, I see the trailers and I'm like, yes, this looks like an awesome game, and And yeah, there's the story in there, but I don't know. I just get in game and then I'm confronted by, especially those little tiny aliens that like jump around, the grunts, I think they're called. No, it just takes all sort of immersion and realism out of it for me.
That's fair enough. I suppose each to their own. I won't bash you like else seems to at the moment. I've also noticed how in the gaming community it's the whole with the PS4 and the Xbox One, with the whole resolutions and like to myself it does annoy me when they games announce, shall we say, that it's 1080p and is it 60 frames per second? And it's a bit like, well, shouldn't you expect that from a next gen console, really?
Yeah.
I know obviously the Xbox One is slightly less powerful, and I'm not trying to create arguments again because no doubt I will somehow. But yeah, it's a next gen requirement, really, because obviously they're next gen console, so you shouldn't expect anything less.
I think this next gen is a big letdown. Like both of the consoles as well. Like things like, for example, things like textures, like the textures that we're getting in these next gen games, like Wolfenstein, for example. I've looked at Wolfenstein recently, and the textures on the wall, they're like textures that you'd expect like last gen early on. And like yes, you expect like certain improvements and with those improvements like other things to lag behind. Like yeah, they've improved you know, like the RAM and stuff like that the consoles have. And they've improved, like, oh yeah, we're talking about like having 4K and all this sort of stuff coming out, but if they can't get the textures up, and like what you were saying, another great example with the frames per second, like some of these games are limited to 30 frames per second still, and it's like it just isn't next gen. Like the texture thing, like really, I think I'm probably gonna have to put a picture up to sort of get across like how bad it is, but like you just don't like there are some games like Crisis, for example, Crisis 3 that will launch with like amazing textures, and I would expect like at least all the next gen games to have like that sort of standard as basic. Sorry, that basic as like a standard, but it just seems like they're, I don't know, maybe they're being rushed out. Maybe Wolfenstein was sort of rushed out to get it out for next gen, to be one of the first games, because there is sort of a lack of games at the moment, so I expect a lot of things to be sort of being pushed out early to try and get them out at the moment. And maybe the textures is something that we're going to see as the consoles progress, like we did with the last generation. Certain things got better, but like you're saying, like there's things that we expect, and I'm sorry, but 30 frames per second with really old textures is just not it at all.
I was going to say, if I wanted something like that, surely I would stick with my 360.
Yeah.
Or my PS3, for example. Obviously, I'm not trying to favour one or t'other, but yeah, it's just I don't understand how it could happen, because they're meant to be obviously next gen. They're meant to be pushing the boundaries of technology. Yet they see. I don't know if this sounds really harsh, and I don't mean it this way, as such. But I'd say it sort of kind of feels lazy.
Yeah.
As well. Sorry, I just saw this on Twitter. Just one quick one before I go. The Xbox One apparently will be getting an external hard drive support in the June update.
External hardware support in the June update.
Yeah. So, for example, I know with the PS3, I'm not sure about the PS4, but with the PS3, you could take out the hard drive and, for example, put in either a portable hard drive or a laptop hard drive, for example. I believe now that's what you're going to be able to do with the Xbox One from through the June update. But instead of obviously having it connected straight into the machine, you're going to have to buy a cable and connect it through that way.
Yeah. Or well, you could just turn your machine into a dev console, but no, don't do that, guys. I saw this Polygon article that I'd seen a few just before the Xbox was launched properly, and I saw it again the other day, and it was telling people how to turn their Xbox into a dev console, and I tweeted out, I was like, has anybody tried this yet? And
you're gonna get sued soon. Just millions of Xboxes broken.
No, because in the well, obviously in the article it says like it will fuck up your console as well. So
Yeah.
I didn't expect anybody to like read the article or like just go straight down to it and try it without reading the article. But yeah, I was just wondering if anybody has like tried to like sideload any apps on or tried to sideload anything on programs or anything like that. But I don't know. Maybe that will allow the developers to create some more. Because I'm thinking of like with the Xbox 360, we didn't really get that much like music integration, video integration. Like that whole system was like, in my opinion, really sloppy. Yeah, I could plug in my MP3 player and have the music play through there, but it was just like a really shitty, sloppy system. And now with the whole like new, your Xbox is like a mini PC and it's got all these different apps running at the different times and stuff like that. I'm wondering if we're going to be able to, like, I'd like to see programs being sold on maybe like USB sticks and stuff like that you could sideload into your Xbox. I'm wondering if that would allow more of that sort of stuff to be sold, if that's what the update would allow for as well. I obviously don't think that's what their intention of it is, but like, what's the idea behind the update? Is it just to allow people to have external hard drives, do you think?
I believe so, because I know that, for example, this is another sort of new game, Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
I believe it had 51 gig update on day one.
Wow.
And obviously that's not only a lot to download, but that will eat up a 500 gig hard drive pretty rapidly. Yeah. So obviously they've realised and heard all these people complaining, and obviously, I suppose to an extent as well, there will be official external hard drives out there soon from Microsoft. Yeah. You know they'll push out for that because obviously it has more money for them. Yeah. But I think it's mainly because obviously 500 gig, if you gave that on a 360, that would go for ages. Yeah. Like I had trouble filling up. I did fill up a 250, but it ended up going
corrupt. It takes a long time.
Exactly, it takes a very long time.
Yeah.
Where with next gen games, they take up so much data that they're going to need bigger than 500 gig hard drives. And I think they've realised their mistake and they're trying to backtrack and obviously not only make a quick buck out of it, but listen to the people.
So that's basically what this update is going to address, those sorts of issues with Wolfenstein and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you very much for joining us this week, Steve, on Alt F4. Whereabouts can people find you if they need to get in touch?
The best place would probably be on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Steamo666. If not, then check out your Twitter and I'll probably be tweeting you sometime anyway.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much for being a guest. We really, really do value your input. And until next time, take care.
Thank you very much.